Hello, my lovely Natsukis. It's your bestie Summer, and I am so exhausted today. I do not know why, but I'm just really tired. Although I got the first 6 volumes of Haikyuu, and I got the first 6 volumes, but I got them in two big books. Like the first one has volumes 1, 2, and 3, and then the second has volumes 4, 5, and 6. And I finished the first one, and I'm reading it along while watching the show, and hearing the differences and stuff is just so fun. I literally love it. I'm having such a blast with it. Yeah. And also, my friend and I are planning on hanging out soon, so that's fun. And I'm planning on having a sleepover with a different friend at some point. We're planning it, but we haven't really figured out a date because we're still doing all of the planning and stuff. Also, I'm DMing my own, campaign with my dad, one of his friends who's kind of my uncle, not blood related, but family friend of so many years that he's pretty much my uncle. And then my brother and my dad's friend's kid. So that's fun. I'm having such a fun time with it. I'm planning on having them fight children because the point of the story is basically a bunch of kids are being mind controlled by this monster who's a zombie that is being its host is this crystal thing with mind controlling abilities, and it's making a gateway, it's mind controlling the kids because kids are the most susceptible to it, and they're gonna be making this gateway to for the big monster thing, so it's gonna be really fun. I'm really enjoying it. Also, in my other D&D game, that my character got backed into a corner thanks to our DM. DM. And so that's annoying. Because basically my character saved this dog thing, and it ended up not being a dog. It ended up being this it ended up being this magical person thing, and the person came to my character and was like, hey, so basically, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Before that, the character they saved this wolf person because the wolf person was hurt, and they thought it was just a talking dog at the time. And they saved it, and the dog was all like, all right, here's this potion. It's gonna help you with, your greatest, dream and stuff. And my character drank the potion because, of course they did. I rolled a 13. And I thought, oh, hey, this is probably trustworthy. So I drank the potion. It ended up giving me, a -2 to any of my strength things. I would have had to take 2 off instead of adding anything. And then a while later, the dog comes back, and it turns into this person, and the person is all like, hey, this is a contract. You need to sign it. You don't have to sign it, but if you don't, your strength is gonna stay like that forever, and there's gonna be no way to fix it. So yeah, and so my character was like, well, I guess I'm signing a contract then, because obviously I was gonna do that because it's me. I'm an idiot. And part of the contract was that this person could call on my character, like, anytime to have my character do something for them. And if I denied it, I'd have consequences. So, yeah. And then I had to have my dad help me with, like, getting a second thing. Because now I'm a warlock and a rogue. So that's fun. Real fun. So yeah, that's how my game is going. Yeah, it's chaotic. Very, very chaotic. But outside of that, this next part of the chapter, it's crazy. We only have 3 parts. We only have 2 parts after this. We only have 1 more chapter to go, you guys. Isn't that insane? Isn't that crazy? But it's really, it's insane. I'm just so happy. But this is a really long intro, so let's get into it. This is part 14, chapter 7 of Press Heart to Subscribe, a DPXDC podfic written by die_collagen6083 and read by Summer Audio. Enjoy! Damian led Danny to the backyard. It was sprinkling outside, which wasn't surprising. It was often dark and gloomy in Gotham. He was taking him to the greenhouse. It was always green in there, full of lush flowers and exotic plants. Due to the warmth inside of there, butterflies fluttered in the air year-round. There were plenty of native species, along with more exotic and vibrant ones. It was the greenhouse of a billionaire. It was only to be expected for a father to show off his wealth in such a fashion. The first to be added were the variety of birdwing butterflies. Damian presumed Richard had been the one to suggest those due to the reference of birds and their bright colors. Monarch butterflies added a splash of orange among the green and yellow of the bird wings, the emperor butterflies adding blue and purple hues. Once he opened the second interior door to bring Danny into the main room of the greenhouse, he turned around to take in his beloved's face. The awe and wonder on his face was mesmerizing, along with that gorgeous smile. He would need to bring Danny here more often. "Whoa," Danny breathed, looking around with wide eyes. "It's so pretty. Sam would love this place. Wait, are those butterflies?" Danny pointed in the distance to the delicate fluttering insects that were flocking around a butterfly bush. "Indeed, they are. There are native species, along with a variety of exotic species Father imported," Damian explained. He glanced at his boyfriend. "I hope you were not overwhelmed by my family, my love. They can be rather exuberant." They began to walk down the path, stopping periodically for Danny to look at the flowers and smell some. He also paused often to look at the butterflies. They were fine. Tucker distracted Tim for most of it, plus Jazz gave them just as good back, asking them all those questions. Sam, too. I know that wasn't all of them. We're still missing Jason, right? And your stepmom, Selena? Danny asked distractedly as a birdwing fluttered close to him. Damian was going to answer, however, the sight before him was utterly gorgeous. A green and yellow birdwing landed on Danny's outstretched hand, while an emperor butterfly landed in his hair. In that moment of time, Danny looked like an ethereal fairy. The dim, spotty light of the sun peeked through the clouds, illuminating the floral behind Danny as well as in front of him. The mist that came down periodically to provide a more humid and tropical environment enhanced the image. Damian's fingers itched for a pencil to capture this moment in time, this image of pure beauty and perfection. The moment passed, yet Damian was still dumbstruck by the handsome man in front of him. Danny turned to look at him, the birdwing in his hand leaving, a monarch fluttering close to land on his arm. "Damian?" Sweetheart, are you there? Danny asked worriedly. I am here. You are the most beautiful person I have ever met in my entire life. You also seem to be a butterfly magnet, Damian said, shaking himself out of it slightly. Danny blushed, the butterflies continuing to flock around him, taking their turns to land on the man before flying off. Can I draw you, or paint you? Damian blurted. He normally wasn't this forward, but he needed to get the sight before him down on paper, or on a canvas. He had a multitude of drawings that he had made before meeting Danny. From Danny's streams, he wanted more, ones that reproduced his beloved's face with as much accuracy as possible. Sure. I've never been a model before. What kind of drawings do you want to make? Danny asked, the blush still adorning his cheeks. Here, in the greenhouse, in the manor, in my bedroom, Damian offered. Danny looked incredibly flustered. Rather forward of you, isn't that? Danny teased, though Damian could sense his nervousness. I will never touch you sexually without your permission, Damian vowed. I do not want to take any risk in pressuring you to do anything you do not wish to do. If you ever want to do anything, you will need to initiate. The nervousness drained from his beloved's body. He was still biting his lip, though. What if it never happens? What if I never want to get physical with you? Sexually, I mean. Danny asked, worriedly, halting in the path, looking at Damian imploringly. That will never change how I feel about you. As you stated earlier, I am possessive. If it is something you never desire, I will never betray you. I am yours, as you are mine. I can take care of those desires myself, Damian told his beloved confidently, stepping closer to hold both of their hands. Danny nodded, more butterflies coming and going from his hair. He looked on the verge of tears. Damian presumed they were happy tears. They walked slowly through the greenhouse, hand in hand conversing on far lighter topics. Connor sat across from them in the red parlor room. The others had all been kicked out. He tapped his pencil against the clipboard, his phone sitting on the table, recording the conversation. So, Damian, how long have you and your friend been dating? Connor asks. It was a basic question, but it was probably the one most people cared about the most. Not long. We have only gone on 2 dates. Vicky Vale's photographer took pictures of us on our second. And that is what is plastered all over the Gotham Gazette, Damian replied frostily. It was weird to hear Damian talk like this, but they agreed that Damian should let his emotions show during the recording. Connor knew that his ire wasn't actually directed at him. I'm sorry to hear that. Did that cause any issues in your relationship? Connor continued the interview. It certainly did. We had hoped to date for a while and build a strong foundation before revealing it to the public. Facing public scrutiny has destroyed many of my father's and my siblings' relationships. I was hoping to spare my beloved from such a fate. It was not to be. Damian was really playing this up. He was a good actor. Thankfully, we were somewhat prepared. Did it get out a lot sooner than we wanted? Yeah, but we knew we were going public eventually, Danny added. You were that confident in your relationship? Connor probed, scribbling on his notepad. Yes, yeah. Danny and Damian turned to look at each other, smiling. What made you so sure? Well, we were friends for like a year and a half before we met and decided to start dating. Spent a long time flirting. Not sure if we were reading the signs right, Danny said with a grin. I did a spectacular job wooing you, Damian said proudly. Danny laughed. You did. I have never met anyone as smooth as you. Who did you learn to flirt like that from? Bruce or Tick? It has to be one of them, right? Damian looked amused. I would credit it to Richard. Father did his best to keep his conquests away from me. However, whenever we were on brotherly outings, Richard would often flirt with the women and the men who approached us. I came to learn that he enjoyed flirting as it was fun for him. That being said, I observed how to deliver a line and the difference between just enough and too corny. I learned from the best. Damian boasted. Denny giggled behind his hand, leaning into Damian. See, he knows I love the stars and space, so he kept flirting with me using space. Called me his son, and that he just orbited around me and stuff like that. How could I not fall for him? Plus, he sent me pictures of Titus and Alfred the cat almost every day when we got a bit closer. Who doesn't love pet pictures? Only the cruelest of beings harm innocent animals, Damian stated darkly, his mood turning from pleasant to sour. Danny patted his arm. I know, sweetie. That's why you help your stepmom at her animal shelter around the city and fund trap-neuter release programs. You're helping the voiceless just as your dad helps those whose society had forgotten and let fall through the cracks. He reassured his boyfriend. So, you approve of what Bruce Wayne has done in the city in regards to charity? Many claim it's a lost cause, Connor asked. There was an intrigued gleam in his eye. This hadn't really been on the list, but Danny had gone down a rabbit hole and read a ton about all of the work Bruce Wayne had done in Gotham a while back. Oh yeah, I was one of the people affected by the Scarecrow's gas a couple of months ago. It was Bruce Wayne's clinics that were spaced around the city to help people who'd been affected by the rogue attack. That helped me. As for thinking it's a lost cause, I totally get it. I thought that too at first. I went down a Google rabbit hole. You ever done that? You were looking something up and it was way more interesting than you thought, and then you just 10 Wikipedia pages deep, learning about hoof trimming and how there is this thing called digital dermatitis. Whoa, Danny, now was not the time to talk about how he'd started watching this hoof trimming guy on YouTube because it was weirdly calming and fascinating. I feel that so real. Anyways, I looked into it, and I also kind of experienced it. Gotham has a really, really low cost of living. There's also a ton of assistance to get people out of poverty. A la Bruce Wayne, it's easier to save up money here, and then live in a safer part of the city, and then get a better education, and then move out of the city. While that's happening, more people are coming in. It hasn't been fully proven, but based on the fact that some asshole governors of other states have shipped immigrants to other cities and states, I'd say the rumor that some states buy their homeless a bus ticket and then ship them somewhere else is probably true. So I'd say Bruce Wayne's programs are working, but at the same time, more people are being shipped in who need help. Therefore, it looks like no one is actually being helped, and that Bruce Wayne is just wasting his money. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Ancients, he just info-dumped to them. Connor was leaning forward, looking utterly fascinated. Damian was looking at him with hearts in his eyes, metaphorically. But that was nothing new. Connor grinned. Oh, you're gonna be real fun to interview after we finish this one today. You cool if I interview you again? Sure, why not? Danny had fun info dumping on people, especially when people were interested. Not only that, but he had a lot of random knowledge, courtesy of his deep dives into the web. While he got on his little soapbox at times on stream, there was a good chance this would get seen by even more people, spreading things he cared about. Sorry, dames. This was something Danny wanted to do. To no one's surprise, Undead Nebula sleeping over at Harley Quinn's and Poison Ivy's apartment, along with the fact that one of his mods and best friends, Plant Queen, was being adopted by the reclusive ex-queens of crime, went viral. All of the news and drama YouTubers were talking about it. Danny nearly fell over when he realized Penguins Zero, aka Most Critical, aka Charlie, discussed it in a quick 7-minute video. In terms of traditional media, the press release about Damian's sexuality was talked about in the news for days. Then it got talked about even more when Connor's interview with them got dropped. Thankfully, Connor had left out Danny's whole little rant about housing and his theories about other states shipping Gotham their homeless. He wasn't sure if that would be a clue that he was Undead Nebula, the Twitch streamer. For now, they were just going to not try and connect the two. If it started to become more obvious, then yeah, they were going to have to reveal it. If this whole thing had proved anything, it was that news like this never got out how you wanted it to. Since Danny had actually been to the manor now, once or twice a week, Damian would pick Danny up on his way home from the office and take him to the manor. They kept watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, neither prepared for the season final. Danny was obsessed with Yue. She was so pretty and so tragic. He really wanted to cosplay her. He could totally be a gender-bent version of Yue, and Damian could be Sokka. Unfortunately, Halloween was months away, but maybe they could do it. They'd hung out in the greenhouse again. Danny was still a butterfly magnet. Damian loved it, though, sketching Danny as dozens of butterflies settled on him. Damian had also gotten his wish to paint Danny. Damian had painted him in the red parlor, in the greenhouse, and even once in Damian's room. Bruce stopped staring so intently at him, which, thank goodness. Dick came by frequently, and Danny got to briefly meet his fiancée, Barbara, before they left on a date. She was nice. Alfred warmed up to Danny, too. He mentioned how Damian was getting far more sleep and doing a better job of taking care of himself. If staying up late to watch cartoons and talking to Danny was taking care of himself, Danny did not want to know what it was like before him. Leading up to tonight, Sam's birthday. Damian knew they were all going to drink a bit, all safe, as they'd be staying at Danny and Jazz's townhome. Sam had gone out and waved around her ID to get a whole bunch of booze. Vodka, rum, gin. She'd also gotten some ginger beer and juices to mix with the harder liquors, while also grabbing a party pack of Mike's Hard Lemonade and a 6-pack of Watermelon Kinky, the brand. Jazz checked on them every once in a while. They were sprawled out on the floor of Danny's room, using blankets and his comforter to make it more comfortable. Orion, the little traitor, was snuggling up with Sam. They were all pleasantly buzzed when Danny got a message from an unknown number. XXXXXXXXXX. Hi there, it's Nightwing. I'm stopping by for a little visit. Heard you three were trying out some booze tonight. I'd miss it. Robin will probably stop by too once he knows I'm here. It wasn't exactly asking for permission, but at least he had a heads up this time. Danny gave them a heads up, only for them to start talking about who they wanted to get autographs from. They went silent when Nightwing opened the window, crouching inside the frame, looking down at the three of them on the floor. Hey there, how's it going? You mind if I crash? Nightwing asks, with a happy grin. Danny snorts. I mean, you told me you were coming, didn't really give me a chance to say no. Danny responded. Both Tucker and Sam gave him light smacks on his arm and chest, respectively. Oh, shut it. Nightwing, I want an autograph. That's the fee for you coming in and joining us, Sam demanded. Sure, the vigilante said, entering the room. What do you want me to sign? Sam sat up looking around. She then shook Danny. Danny, I need something for Nightwing to sign. Danny sighed. He looked at the vigilante before putting a finger in front of his lips. You can keep a secret, right? Keep quiet about things. Danny questioned. Nightwing nodded. Sure can. After all, I've kept my secret identity for over a decade. Danny, first robbing confirmed, Tucker gasped out. Oh, get me a paper too, please. I want an autograph too. Got it. Danny lifted his hand and made a grabby motion at his desk. The stacks of paper shuddered, and then 3 papers fluttered out, flying to Danny's hand. 1 autograph each, please. You want something to drink? You've got to be older than 21 at this point, he said, sitting up just enough to hand the papers to Nightwing. Ouch, kid. I'll have you know I'm still young. Also, I need a pen. Danny flopped back down. They're on the desk, a whole bunch. Nightwing walked around them to sign the papers on the desk. Sam sat up to watch him. After autographing the papers, he sat down on Danny's bed, watching them. This is a rather chill party. Also, I heard you're getting adopted by Harley and I've birthday girl. We're chill. We're cool. I'm going to dress them up as goths and take them to a club once we're all 21. It's also hilarious to put Danny in platform boots and watch him stumble around. Tucker, the goth, is a ladies' magnet, though. You want to see my blackmail pictures of them?
No! Both boys shouted, getting up to tackle Sam. The blackmail pics stay between us, Sam, Danny chastised her. Yeah, Nightwing doesn't want to see all the pictures of Danny and I cuddling. I totally do? I'll show you later, Sam fake whispered from where she was on the floor. They had a tendency to fall asleep first at sleepovers, and they would cuddle each other. I have pictures from middle school all the way to a couple weeks ago of them cuddling. Nightwing laughed. Sure, I can visit you sometime. Your moms might feel weird about me visiting, though. I'm buddies with Harley, but Ivy remembers me being an idiot and licking some of her plants. Nightwing reassured her. The 3 of them started giggling and laughing. Nightwing had licked one of Poison Ivy's plants. That was dumb as hell. Did you get super high? Tucker asked between giggles. I sure did. Ivy had to whip up an antidote for me real quick. I swear, B regretted taking me out on patrol half the time. He had to, though, otherwise I would have gone out on my own, the other man explained. Mood, Danny replied. We get you, bro. We were feral kids, too, Tucker added. Yeah, sneaking out at 14 and spending half the night on the streets of Amity. Such edgy teens we were. You asked me about being adopted by Harley and Ivy. I haven't brought it up. They haven't either. Sam got up on her knees, shuffling over to reach the bed and lean against it, and look up at the vigilante. Is it betraying my bio parents to have them adopt me? I love them. I've lived with them for maybe 5 months. They feel more like parents to me than my actual ones. I feel safe and happy with them. I can be myself. I don't need to hide my clothes. I hide the clothes I like to wear, or hide all of my plants in the greenhouse. They don't push me to marry some rich idiot. All they want from me is to be happy. I want them to be my moms. Do you think they want me to be their kid? I mean, Why would they adopt an adult? Wouldn't it make more sense for them to adopt a kid? Someone they could actually raise instead of a goth college student who has some minor plant powers? I don't know what they see in me. Sam's voice was catching at points as she unloaded upon the vigilante. Danny wanted to leap up to hug Sam and tell her that she was amazing and anyone would be honored to be her mom. Nightwing beat him to it. Adult adoption is rare. It does happen, though. Bruce Wayne adopted Richard Grayson when he was an adult. He was just Bruce's ward for years and years until then. Knowing Harley and Ivy like I do, I'd say that they feel more comfortable with you since you're an adult. I don't think they'd want to actually raise a baby. Not only that, but since you're an adult, you can take care of yourself. Gotham is a dangerous city, especially for those who are particularly vulnerable, like kids. It also helps that you are very similar to them, and you have plant powers like Ivy. To me, it sounds like you're their dream adult kid, who just got dropped in their laps. Do you think about calling them Mom? Nightwing asked softly. Sam sniffed, a few tears falling down her cheeks. Danny got up and crawled over to hug her, Tucker right behind him. Thank the ancients for the bed that they were leaning against, otherwise they'd probably topple over. The world was a little woozy and dizzy. Yeah, I pretend sometimes. I pretend they're my actual parents, that Ivy is my bio mom and Harley is my bonus mom. My mama. It's dumb, she admitted. It's not dumb, Sam. It's really not. Maybe try bringing it up. Harley is a trained psychologist, and even if she's not always the most sane, she does have all that knowledge in that brain of hers. They've probably heard about the rumors online since Danny had babbled on stream. That might be a more natural way to bring it up, to just talk about the rumors, see how they feel about it. That's all the advice I've got, kiddo, Nightwing admitted, patting Sam's head. Was nice of you. Thanks for coming by for the talk, Sam said. Nightwing nodded, then got up. Hope you have a great rest of your birthday, Sam. You three should probably go to sleep. Your two brothers look like they're about to pass out on top of you, Nightwing teased. I'm heading out. Night. I'll lock the window again. No worries. With that, the acrobat hero left, hardly giving them a chance to say goodbye and goodnight. The three of them fell asleep there, sitting up and leaning against the bed. They all regretted it in the morning when their necks hurt. Danny was in one of the small mom-and-pop fabric shops in Gotham City. He'd been thinking about trying to make a couple costumes for stream, and also try to make a cosplay. From all the YouTube videos he'd watched online, he figured he should start with something small, like a shirt. So he figured he'd try his hand at making a patchwork kind of shirt with a bunch of hero logos on them. Damian had helped sketch out a couple ideas, since it would be a patchwork. Danny could get away with some really bad sewing. He was rather intimidated by the amount of skills and work he was going to have to do. Maybe he should just stick to inventions and engineering and not try to learn how to sew and make costumes. Danny was brought out of his musing when he saw an older woman in a straw hat with a blue bow wandering around, holding bows and barrettes. She was giving them out for free to all the young ladies in the store. Well, Danny was the only man in the small shop from what he could see, figuring that if this shop was going to be a bust, he might as well get a free bow. Slowly approaching, he spoke to her. Do you mind if I have one as well? I wear them too, Danny told her, smiling and pointing at the current blue clip that was holding back some of his hair. She hesitated, her eyes rather glossy and unseeing, before she handed him one with a wan smile. Thank you, he told her. pretty girl, should grow out your hair," she told him, patting his hand before toddling off. It didn't really seem worth it to correct her. Sighing, he left the store, yellow bow in hand. This was the first time Danny had been really worried living in Gotham. 28 women were missing in Gotham. That was what had been reported. There were likely more than that. Danny was stressing over Jazz. She interned at Arkham a few weeks ago for Ancient's sake, along with going to Gotham University. While he was worried about Sam, he was a little less so due to her plant powers. Both women had insisted they were doing everything to stay safe. The Waynes had moved up their offer of self-defense training. Danny trained with Tim and Cass. They usually whipped the floor with him, but he was getting better. He went from holding his own from 5 seconds to 30, so he counted that. It was progress. Tucker was somewhere with Tim. Danny was with Damian on the couch, holding some ice packs in place over where he was pretty sure he was going to get some bruises. Jazz was talking Bruce's ear off about mental health for heroes and vigilantes. Last time he saw her, Bruce had surprisingly looked intrigued. Sam had ditched them after training. She nervously told them that she was going to talk to Ivy and Harley about the rumors of her being their daughter. Sam had wanted to do it after she worked out all of her nerves in one of the sessions. When are we going to go on our next date?" Danny mumbled, his head in Damian's lap. "I hope for it to be soon. I wish to take you out again. The media circus has mostly calmed down. Still, it might be best for our next date to be in Bloodhaven or Metropolis. I am far less likely to be recognized there. Do you have a preference for either, beloved?" Damian asked, petting Danny's hair. Ancients, that felt nice. That and the ice on his forming bruise. "That'd be nice. We can do something for both of us. Things we both like. You know what I mean," Danny said. Damian hummed. "Metropolis has a museum on aliens. Granted, the majority of it is dedicated to Superman and the Kryptonian. There are also some dedicated to the Temerian and Martian culture. Would you like to go there?" Damian offered. "Ancients, you're perfect. Marry me," Danny blurted, then stiffened. His brain-to-mouth filter had malfunctioned again. "I would not be opposed to such a thing. To become your husband, it would cause quite the scandal should we do so soon after revealing that we are dating. I would suggest elopement. However, I do not wish to make Richard cry, nor do I want to disappoint Alfred or my father." Danny sat up, staring at Damian. "Oh, my ancients, you're serious? You've thought about this?" Danny exclaimed. Damian merely arched a brow, his eyes staring into the depths of Danny's soul. "I have. I do not date for fun. I looked for something serious, something long-term. That is something I see with you, beloved." There was a weight to his words, a sureness. "I do not expect you to return the sentiment. It is still early. I hope, though, that you will eventually be able to see yourself being married to me, to being together for all eternity," Damian whispered seriously. Danny didn't know what to say to that. "I'm not there yet. You're right about that. I hope so too, that I'll be there eventually," Danny reassured his boyfriend. "Can I spend the night, Dames? I want to snuggle you, all night long." "How can I turn down your request, my love? Yes, of course you can." Danny laid back down, getting comfortable once more. "All right, what is there for you in Metropolis? Is there an art exhibit coming there that you like to see, or would you want to do one of those paint nights? You can try to teach me, Damie. Oh, what about... Danny was getting ready for the stream. It was just going to be a fun Saturday morning stream. Looking over his accessories, he was looking for something yellow and something red, but that had nothing to do with Robin. He just wanted to talk about the Flash, Kid Flash, and Impulse. There, the bow the old lady had given him a week ago at that fabric store would work great. Danny clipped it in, looking in the mirror to make sure it looked nice. Then, everything went kinda hazy and wonky. He had to leave. He had to go to a warehouse. There was a tea party for him. Him, the Mad Hatter, Alice, and all the others. Wait, what? What was going on? Danny watched in horror as his body left the bathroom and headed directly towards the stairs. Struggling internally, he made his hands grab the wall, but that didn't stop his feet from continuing to walk down the stairs. Panicking, he couldn't concentrate enough to try and wrestle some control while he put on his shoes and walked out the front door. His body, under someone else's direction, walked down the street, heading for the bus stop. Fingers shaking, Danny managed to pull out his phone, sending a message to the last person he'd been talking to. Red_Ghoul, aka Damian. Undead Nebula. HELP. Undead Nebula. Body moving. Undead Nebula. Can't control. Undead Nebula. Yellow. Undead Nebula. Bow. He'd just have to hope that was enough. Phone slipping through his fingers, cracking as it hit the concrete. Danny's body didn't care, leaving the device abandoned as he boarded the bus. Fuck. Ending notes. Hi there, I'm back. Today is my wedding day. I'm getting married to the love of my life, Eisen. That's his internet name. He was actually the inspiration for this fic, and while neither of us have the money to do the incredible dates that Damian and Danny have been on, a lot of the mannerisms and the dynamic between the two is based on my relationship with Eisen. On our first date, he offered me his coat since I was cold, walking around with me, and talked. He also walked me to my car and merely asked for a hug. We went on another date only 3 days later, since we wanted to see each other again. That chemistry and connection was palpable. Eisen is one of the most emotionally intelligent people I know, and I base a lot of Danny's emotional intelligence off of him. Along with how Danny says things, Danny and Damian are a mix of myself and Eisen. I love that man so much, and after today, I get to call him my husband. One of my online friends drew me a gorgeous piece of fan art for this fic for my wedding. Thank you very much, Grem. I got it early, so I had to incorporate it into this chapter. You can view it here. Fan art from Gremlin. Reference for Wayne Manor. Wallaton Hall for Wayne Manor, basically the house from The Dark Knight. Reference for the Red Parlor Room, based on the Red Room from the White House. So I went to Cincinnati a year or two ago when they were changing out all the flower bulbs, and they just left them out for people to take. The plant gremlin in me wanted to take them so bad, but I couldn't exactly take them home with me on a flight. Songs. Yay! Crazy Rich Asians. Can't Help Falling in Love. Kina Granis. This Will Be an Everlasting Love. Girls Like Me. Rennery. Still Into You. Paramore. Here's a link to the Spotify playlist I made for this fic. Very soft, loving vibes. You should probably shuffle it, as that's how I listen to it, as I have a free account, lol. Press heart to subscribe playlist. Thank you, as always, to the wonderful Harthick for betaing my fic. If you're interested, come say hi to me on Tumblr. And that was part 14, chapter 7 of Press Heart to Subscribe, a DPXDC podfic written by die_Olacollagen6083 and read by Summer Audio. This took absolutely forever for me to record because of my stuttering, and I got sick in the middle of recording it, so I had to, not record for, a little bit. I still recorded a little bit while I was sick, but it got to the point where I was just stuttering too much, and, my raspiness. Also currently recording in the car because we're in town today because I have a doctor's appointment. But this time it's just a checkup and I'm not going in because of excessive bleeding. No, we're just getting a checkup to see if my birth control, was working and stuff. And, if it did its job. And to make sure that I don't need to continue it. And it's gonna be my last doctor's appointment. Woo! But, yeah, it's really exciting. Really fun. I'm in the car because I have, 16, not actually, but 16 family members in that house right now, and I do not feel like trying to record with oh, my mom's coming out. Not her literally coming out to talk to me about the doctor's appointment I was just telling you guys about. Fun. Yeah, I'm leaving that in just because I feel like it's funny, but whatever. The amount of times that I struggled with this one phrase. It was when they were talking about the blackmail and Sam was like, I got tons of blackmail, my dudes. I literally read blackmail and I was like, I could not say it because I was like Batmail, or I was like Black Man, or I was like freaking, what was the other one? Fuck. But I stuttered on it a lot. I might add those because I'm pretty sure I still have them, but I might have those bloopers and I'm definitely adding them because they're so funny. I was struggling for so long on just trying to say that one word. I don't know, bro, but this is too long anyways, and I have school to do. So anyways, I hope you all enjoy and have a wonderful day. Bye!